Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a revelation, a prophecy that was given yesterday, April 6, 2020, has been fulfilled so quickly. It's mind-boggling. It's sobering. In this vision, which was published on our Facebook channel, Harvest Army Church Facebook, it goes like this. Revelation, April 5, 2020. In a dream, the dreamer is on a road between floors of a car park. He turns a U-corner to walk to a higher floor. Another individual is walking up as well. As he turns, he sees a U-Haul type truck trying to overtake a similar truck going upwards. They got stuck and began to skate backwards. The dreamer tries to come out of the way, though it seemed futile. One vehicle touched him, but somehow he was able to avoid being crushed to the wall behind him. He's aware of what happened. He's unaware of what happened to the other person who was also walking up on the road. Interpretation: at least two countries or states that appear to be improving concerning the corona pestilence will reverse and crush the hearts of those who are optimistic. That was given yesterday, April 6, 2020, and today, April 7, 2020. We just heard New York, after 2 days, past 2 days, April 5 and April 6, they had the curve, the upward curve that everybody's afraid of. They found that the curve seemed to be flattening. I believe one of the days it was like 594 died, but the numbers were nearly the same. And in the 2 days report, they felt like the curve was flattening. The governor and others, other experts, and everybody was happy. Everybody was glad. But then the following day, which is today, April 7, 2020, New York recorded the highest death toll, 731, and the people's hearts are crushed. Just like the Revelation says, that's what's happening. People have to understand that unless we put God in this picture, I've heard of folks who have mocked as a politician would pray about this matter. Oh, unless we put God in this matter, it's going to be bad. It's going to appear to be improving, and then it goes negative. And that's why it's important that they allow the churches to be opened. I don't mean for everybody to be there, even a handful. 5, 10, 15, 50, as long as they observe the distancing, the social distancing. We cannot put God out of this picture, politicians. That's a mistake. You have got to allow the church people to be able to go and pray. You all thought that, well, it seemed as if the curve is flattened. So if one day had 594, then they would probably be maybe 595, maybe even 600 or whatever. But the very day after, from 594 to 731, no, you did not expect that. We appreciate your experts, but they did not expect that. But God spoke it. That though the public began to be optimistic and the experts began to be optimistic, God said that there'd be a rollback. God said it would worsen. God said, and what happened is the worst ever. But notice it was two trucks rolling back. So the interpretation said two states or two countries. Well, France. France was also, I just began to say, it seems as if it's improving. Then what happened today? What happened today, the 7th of April 2020? They register their largest number, I believe 1,417. Have you seen it? God is on top of this thing. God is recording this thing before it happened. And that's why we have got to pay attention to prophecy. It's not the who speak, is who speaking through that prophet. Yes, politicians, you've got to pay attention. You cannot despise the church now. It's a mistake to despise the church. And those who are in the church who are not settled down, who are bound into apostasy and false doctrine and doctrines of devils, turn away, turn away. God is using prophecy to clarify the debates. For he says in John 18 and verse 37, he will not speak unless God is satisfied with the doctrine of that vessel. It's right there in John 18:37. He said that vessel have got to be in line with the truth for God to give him truth or to give her truth. So God is causing this thing to bring equity upon mankind, to equalize the different facets of life. It's time to turn to God, and it's time to listen to the prophetic. The Bible says in Proverbs 29 and verse 18, where there is no vision, the people perish. We do not look for accolades. This church has been prophesying for 30 years. Most of the great events you see happen in the world, moving events happen on the earth, it was prophesied right here. And the Bible says, despise not prophesying. Politicians, one more time, I implore you, do not omit the church out of this. Do not omit the men of God, the women of God. Do not lock the doors. If you keep the doors locked, it's going to be bad. They have locked the doors in Italy, and it has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. Give the church the guidelines to follow the social distancing and the sanitizing and the disinfecting, and and that the church will not embrace or shake hands or whatever. There are some states right now who had designated churches as non-essential, and they have changed. They have changed. They have changed in Florida. They have changed. Yes, the Lord is speaking. The Lord is so loving. The Lord is so caring. The Lord is so gracious. That's why He would speak these things before they happen. I hope somebody will listen. Sometimes we do these videos and YouTube appear to suppress them. In the past would have 500,000 views, 500,000, 200,000, 100,000. But we notice that there's a major suppression on the videos. So some will not get the opportunity to see these things. So those of you who get to see it, share it with your family. Share it with your friends. When the experts who we are glad for, they thought that the curve was leveling. But God says, no, it's going to go back. It's going to go back. It went back in New York dramatically. When we thought it was going to level off, they had a record. New York, the highest ever. France thought it was going to level off. They had a record, the highest ever, 1,417. New York State, 731. It's time to turn to God. It's time to turn to God. Second Chronicles 7:13 and 14 have now become a golden text that we must follow. Yes, God says when you see these things happen, pestilence and locusts, He said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, God said, I will hear from heaven. And God says, I will heal your land. God bless you.